I'm Kelvin Thompson. Through the decades, I've learned a few things about blended course design, teaching, and learning, and I'm sharing them in this series of brief topical video nuggets. Today's nugget is blended learning can be responsive to faculty priorities. Blended learning can be responsive to faculty priorities. I've said many times that not every course or instructor should be online, but I haven't yet run across a course or an instructor where blended learning couldn't be implemented successfully with a little effort. One of the reasons is blended learning classes are arguably more variable and customizable by instructor preference, more responsive to faculty priorities. What a colleague, Dylan Barth, once termed more pedagogically responsive. In a prior Blended Nugget segment, we examined how blended learning can be institutionally strategic. Faculty priorities and institutional strategy do not have to be at odds. My colleague, Tom Cavanaugh, articulated an insight which I've attempted to visually depict on screen here. Dr. Cavanaugh observed that blended learning can exist at the sweet spot between institutional goals and faculty preferences. And on screen here, I've listed a few faculty preferences that I've run across through the years that are realized in blended learning contexts. Above the horizontal line are several examples that I would classify as at a somewhat at an intermediate level of understanding and thinking through the affordances of the blended learning context. These are the kind of things that uh, recognizing that there are some ways of placing time emphasis where one wants them to be in blended learning design. Below the horizontal line, I would classify these as examples that exist at something of a deeper level of thoughtfulness about the strategic affordances of integrating the in-person and online, recognition of a kind of synergy in blended learning. And to work through these preferences, I would share this blended learning mix map, a deceptively simple design document, sometimes useful in blended learning conceptualization and the beginnings of course design. Just a simple Venn diagram with in-person face-to-face in one circle and online in the other, and things that exist in between in an integrative kind of way in the overlap. Now, what I've found is this tool is best used multiple times in the course design process. Not exhaustively, but a few key times. Initially, even on a simple piece of paper with a pencil, you could draw a Venn diagram and start listing things. But what I've found is it's not uncommon initially for designing faculty members to put a lot of items in the face-to-face, in-person side of the Venn diagram and very little or only items of seemingly low consequence or low value in the online side and practically nothing in the in-between. And this puts me in mind of a quote that Stephen Covey attributes to Oliver Wendell Holmes regarding simplicity. Covey says that Holmes once said, "I wouldn't give a fig for the simplicity on this side of complexity. I would give my right arm for the simplicity on the far side of complexity," which makes me think about the manner in which this mix map can be used after an initial classification of elements and beginning to ponder more closely how the in-person and the online can work together to support the experiences that one wants students to have. An iterative awareness of the affordances of blended learning begins to emerge, and that is key to this modality's pedagogical responsiveness. Faculty priorities and institutional strategy do not have to be at odds. Blended learning implementations can exist at that sweet spot between the two. And the sweet spot, in my view, is fostered by a framing of blended learning that reduces the number of classroom meeting times, uses asynchronous online elements, and is well designed and supported. Now, you might want to look a little further into some of these related concepts. So I'm going to list just a few resources that are available free and publicly online. The first is a podcast episode in which this sweet spot concept first emerged. Second is a keynote talk that I did a few years back where I first visually depicted that concept and unpacked a little bit the relationship between the institutionally strategic and the faculty preference, along with other blended learning concepts. At the URL, there are presentation slides and a primitive audio recording. And finally, the home of the blended learning mix map is the do-it-yourself course design task guides from the free, public, open licensed BlendKit course on the Blended Learning Toolkit website. All of those might be useful to you in expanding on the ideas from this segment. But that is it for this Blended Nugget segment. There is a lot more to unearth, so keep coming back and keep exploring on your own so that we can make together blended learning the best that it can be.